For those of you who follow anything that I do, you know very well that I am completely obsessed with the topic of safety, road safety and vehicular safety. And this was a really proud moment for India when we got our first safest MPV, 4-star rating from Global NCAP in a Global NCAP protocol crash test that was held at a lab in Germany. The Mahindra was crash tested at 64 kilometers per hour for the frontal offset test under the Global NCAP protocol at this lab just outside Munich in Germany. It's what it did to the market. It's not only changed perceptions and benchmarks, but it's also started a bit of a revolution. You've seen this now, lots of action on the safety front. And a few years ago, you would not have expected it to come from the Indian car makers, the indigenously Indian car makers. You would think, hey, it's the global guys who have all of this wherewithal and experience in other markets who will probably lead that charge. Not quite the case. And so, which is why when the Mahindra got its 4 stars in December of 2018, it was a really big deal for all of us and we celebrated it in a big way. Why is that? Because we're now talking about safety becoming almost like a basic thing when it comes to all kinds of segments. So it's not just the glamorous or the luxurious or the expensive cars necessarily, but even people movers like this one that simply have to be safe. But things went up a whole notch higher when we got what's become the safest Indian-made car. This is the XUV 300. So this car now actually has the highest score for all Indian cars tested, and we're talking about now several cars, right? It's gone almost to 30 cars that have been tested by Global NCAP over the last few years. And it's the culmination in a sense of a huge journey, because let me tell you a little bit of a story. Now, as you take a look at just some of the things that have helped this car achieve a 5-star rating, you can also see that, hold on, 4 stars here. What's the story there? Now, for a lot of cars that were scoring or starting to score quite well, when it came to the overall adult occupant protection score, child occupant protection was not necessarily that high because, well, there wasn't that much focus perhaps on that side of things, or where there were a few things lacking which could just be added or enhanced to make that vehicle also safe from a child occupant point of view. And that's where the XUV 300 really started to make the difference. And so 4 stars on child safety rating, well, that's again the highest score yet in India. Now, of course, it got its 5 stars, like I said, for adult occupant protection. But the story that I promised, it was at the 2014 Auto Expo that we had first broken all these stories about crash tests, Indian-made cars being crashed. And, I can tell you from personal experience, it's the time when I actually went to all the manufacturers around the Expo and said, hey, you know what? You got to do something about this. Why don't you offer safety at least as an option? You keep saying consumers don't want to pay for it. Offer it as an option. And I'm very happy to plug Mahindra on this one, because it was only Mahindra that said, all right, can't do it overnight. Any new vehicle coming from now on, we'll give it as an option. And so, which is why you started to have those different variants having that little option pack on safety. And it's clearly made a difference, because we're talking about a company that does sell not just in the urban space, but very much in the rural market as well. So here at M&M's Pavilion at the Auto Expo, you see driven by purpose, and there's sort of different kinds of purposes that the company says it's being driven by for the future. And I'm very happy that you've got safety as being one of those key pillars and getting its own special display then here at the Auto Expo. Now we come to the third element of that, because we've seen what happened with the Mahindra. It's kind of, you can say, step 1. Step 2 was getting the 5 stars on the XUV 300, and then also making a commitment as a company that no vehicle from here on is going to be below 4 stars. Let me tell you, in a global average sense, that's a very, very solid positioning on safety. So that's the good news. But how do you keep enhancing that then? Well, that's when we come to the future section. So some of the work that's being done now to take safety to yet another higher level. And so with the future products that come, you'll get a lot of the advanced driver assistance systems, which means that there will be a lot of sensors and cameras and yes, chips on board that allow the car to preempt situations. So it's not just about what you saw there in the case of crash test results, which gives you high scores on passive safety. It becomes all about active safety. The point I'm trying to make though is that it is that whole change which is starting to make a difference. And thankfully, all of you care about it too, based on the feedback that I get from you.